Hi, my name is Margaux. I'm from France. I'm also a global student, and I'm going to talk about challenges.
Hey Margot, so first question I have for you is kind of tough. Can you tell us about yourself in one sentence?
I am someone that needs to challenge herself constantly, and that stems from my need to be very independent. From age zero, I've always been like
Yeah.
this. I need to challenge myself constantly. So.
Very cool. So you were telling me earlier about some of your physical challenges. Can you tell me about some of your experiences doing physical challenges?
Yeah, I guess the two first that come to mind. So first one was when I was still in high school. I was in a rowing team. I was doing like quite hardcore regional competition, and it was, I mean, literally physically very
Yeah,
challenging.
definitely.
I kind of decided suddenly one day that I wanted to go into rowing, having done none before, and I went straight into
That's ambitious.
the competition because the coach needed a woman, so it happened to be me. And it was really, really challenging having to row 3 hours per day, then whole days on weekends, coming home late with bleeding hands. It was really awful. I had to rub them all the time. Then the next morning I was back to school and I could barely write, and then back again, and then the whole training was really hard. The coach was really hard on us, but it was really awesome and challenging, but also it taught us so much. Like with my team, we helped each other so much. We got really, really close because of that physical pain, if you want.
Yeah.
So yeah, and first year of university, I decided that I'd fundraise enough to make my way up the Kilimanjaro, which I succeeded in doing. And so yeah, July, here we go, time to climb the Kilimanjaro now with my little team of friends. And the hard part was when you reach the bit which is just about like a few kilometers off the top. It's really bad because my water was frozen, so I couldn't drink, so I was like really dehydrated and I could barely breathe, and I was so cold. I've never been that cold in my life. I was shaking so bad I actually like was really hurting. And I finally very slowly made my way up, and I arrived up and this guy was next to me, and I was like, finally. And he's like, no, I'm sorry, it's not the end. You see that peak over there? That's the end. It's 1 more hour. I was like, I don't think I can do this. I can't do this. I really can't. He's like, come on, you've made it this way. We're going to make it together. I didn't even know this guy, but we got really close. So we started holding hands literally, and we made our way through the hips of snow all the way to the top, like literally using each other as crutches. We finally made it, and that sounds tough, but that wasn't the toughest part, because the toughest part was going down. You have a 15 hours walk ahead of you to go down, and with the lack of oxygen, the lack of water, the cold, you start hallucinating and you fall asleep walking. So you keep falling and waking up and falling, and that's really, really, really tough. I have my little certificate now that says I climbed it, so here we go, challenge accepted.
I also know that you speak a few languages. How many do you speak?
4 languages.
What for?
So my mother tongue is French. Then I speak, English. I think so. Then I also speak Spanish and Portuguese. So yeah, as a European anyway, you need to learn at least 2, or unless you're British, then you already speak the main language. So
Cool.
then. Yeah, basically, English I started learning when I was in school, when I was 14 years old. I was in this really strict religious school, but the only bright side was that they had this huge network of schools throughout the world, and you could pick a school and go on an exchange if you justified it to your teachers. So
Okay.
I came up to my teacher one day and I was like, I really want to learn English. I looked at the places you have, and I've seen you have Alaska. I want to go to Alaska to learn English. And she's like, okay, but that's a little bit, I need to contact the people there because it's a little bit out of the way. Like people usually go to England, and I was like, yes, but I want to go somewhere where I know that I will very likely never go back. So I chose Alaska, and a few months later I was sent by myself to Alaska, 14 years old, first real trip on my own, 48 hours journey. I can't tell you how many planes and boats and buses I took. It's crazy. Then I arrived, and it's like in this tiny little part which is called Sitka. It's like south of Alaska, near Juneau, but it's like specks of islands that go all the way to Russia. So it's really cool and really beautiful. It's mountains and islands. Each person lives on one island. So you go between islands. You go to school with a hydroplane. You land, yeah. So it's really cool. Or boat. Anyway, yeah, and then the family that was hosting me came to pick me up. I had no clue what they were telling me. And then, like, a few hours later, it was 9 a.m. morning, Easter day. Let's go have food. We ate from 9 a.m. till 7 p.m. And they wanted me to do the sermon, like, before eating. And I did not really speak any English at all, to be honest. So how am I to do this? But anyway, it went okay. I was a little bit confused at first, especially because of the 14 hours jet lag. And yeah, I went to high school there for about 2 months, I think.
Very cool.
So that was really cool.
So last question, Margaux. You've obviously done a lot of things that we only can dream about. So what about the future? What kind of challenges are coming up next?
Well, I have to say that's the toughest question. I don't have per se an idea of the future. For one, I don't believe in having in thinking about the future in that way, because I think if you project a future for you that you want to attain, like, that's too precise, it's like closing your eyes. You miss out on opportunities, and then you may not actually, you may just stop challenging yourself once you've reached that goal. So I mean, obviously I like the idea of traveling around, working in different places, if maybe learning another language, but I can't give you an actual answer as to what I will be doing in, say, 5 years.
Cool. I think that's a pretty good answer and some really good insight for all of us. Thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you.